We got checks across the board. Man, it's been a minute. I almost got into that phase of, well, it was a good run.
Come back in 6-8 months.
I see y'all next year.
Yeah.
But let me get a sip of this water. I think I had another dream. I was supposed to be battling somebody again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was, though.
If it was Uno Lava, you won.
I actually had a dream. Somebody hit me on the spot to preach.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh, man, like, come on, guys. Anyway, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you may find yourself as you listen to this and you tuned into the Only Sports Podcast with Brains and Bars. It is a black and white thing featuring A1 and A Ward. You can check out every episode of It's a Black and White Thing by going to the podcast app of your choice, wherever you find the good podcasts. Searching for It's a Black and White Thing. Please like, share, subscribe, give us 5 stars, give us reviews. The more you review and share, it gets us promoted on podcast pages. You can also check us out on YouTube, where we are live right now, searching for Brains and Bars, and liking, sharing, and subscribing to the content. Leave comments there as well. You can also find us on social media by going to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at Brains and Bars. You can find us there as well. It's been a minute. We've been kind of out. Well, I can't speak for Ward on this one. I have been incredibly busy. He's always busy. But for myself, I've been incredibly busy. There's been birthday parties and graduations and vow renewals and just everything. You name it. It's been going on in my life. And so,
your anniversary too, right? Was your anniversary?
Anniversary was last week.
Mm-hmm.
Graduated the week before that.
Mm-hmm.
Good friends of ours had a vow renewal the week before that.
Nice.
During this weekend, the kid was invited to 3 birthday parties. So like we just been on the go. And so,
you tell you stop making friends. Stop making friends.
Man, like for the first time, like quick parenting thing. So, for those who do not know, we have one child. It's a long story as to why we only have one. I won't bore you with that today. That's for another time. But we only have one, so we take it very seriously who he hangs out with. He's always been, like, if he's not with us, it's always been with family. And so for the first time, he's been alive for 10 years. For the first time, godparents are still family, even though they're not blood. So, but for the first time, he was in the company of someone that was not related to us or like family. So we went to a birthday party. We had to leave because we had dinner reservations for our anniversary. And he's like, I don't want to leave. I don't want to go. Right? The kid thing. And so one of the parents of a kid that he's cool with is like, well, we can take him. And, we'll you could come get him after dinner. And I'm like, so I didn't know I wasn't a part of the conversation. I came in on the back end of it. He was talking to my wife. And I see her with her phone out and she's like, jotting. I could see her like typing. I'm like, yo, is she kidding? Like, what's happening? So I walk over there and he's like, yeah, it's going to be fine. We'll stay for a little bit longer, go home, watch a movie, And I'm like, all right, we're doing this. It's happening. So, first time the kid has been, with someone who wasn't family. It went well. Great family, great people. So we appreciate them, stepping in on impromptu like that.
Nice.
Here's the last thing I say about this, right? So we go to the house and we say, was he, you always ask the question, like, how did it go, right? Oh, yeah. He was a model child. He made a mess. And I turned around and he was already cleaning it up. And I was like,
he don't do this at home?
Yeah, I'm like, wait. He made a mess and he went and cleaned it. Huh? Like, is Invasion of the Body Snatchers? Like, what's happening right now? Like,
who taught you that?
Yeah, who taught? I mean, I guess one of those things. Like, it's cool to know that when your child goes somewhere, that they have some home training, right?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good feeling.
But I want you to practice that.
Yeah.
In the home, though, like not at somebody else's house, at our house. Anyway. So that's my parenting chronicles, man. What's been going on with you? How you been?
Man, I've been good, bro. As you know, 2 battles in the last 2 weeks, another battle this week. So 3 battles in 3 weeks. Outside of that, house is almost finished renovations wise. Man, we're just working and we're just staying busy. Going to Vegas together in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So that'll be fun. And then another battle with Loso at the end of the June. So I got a pretty good schedule going on for the May June, and then just starting to get some bookings for July. So staying busy. And yeah, everything else is going pretty good, man. Can't complain.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Also, we're going to let's talk about this real quick. You posted a picture yesterday of
Yeah.
yourself on the set of Speak for
Speak.
Yourself.
Yep.
It's called Speak now, right? It's not even called Speak for
Yep.
Yourself. It's called
Yep. Once Marcellus left, they just changed it to Speak. Yeah. So obviously, I was invited to go out there from Emmanuel Acho. We got together, did some creative consultations and different things like that to get ready for the show. Just brainstorm some stuff. And then I was able to go to the show, which was a lot of fun. Got to see kind of just like how everything works. Got to see the whole Fox studio land, you're walking through the campus and you're in a movie, basically. They build New York City, they build LA, they got where they shoot all the scenes for all the movies and different things like that. The Simpsons, all that kind of stuff, which was super cool. Got to see the NFL Live set, which is like a 3D set. It's incredible. Not NFL Live, but NFL on Fox. I guess NFL Live's on ESPN. NFL
Correct.
on Fox is the show with JB, Terry, Howie, all them. So that was really cool. Got to meet LaShawn McCoy, Joy Taylor, Rick Bucher, which I wasn't too familiar with Rick before. But really, really nice guy. And yeah, just to kind of see how those shows are produced. Some things I thought this was a way bigger, production, and some things I thought like, man, this is really dope that you have this many people that you're helping you do this, So, but it was really cool. It was really cool. Had a good time, and look forward to go back. So
That's what's up. That's what's up. Shout out to everybody on that platform. Yeah. It's one of those things where when you hit me up, you was like, yeah, I got a battle out there. He was like, you want to roll? He's like, I'm supposed to be hanging out with Acho. And I was like, I would love to. I would love to go and be a part of that and experience that. However, unless Acho's ready to have a house guest for a little bit, it might be a good idea for me to stay in Kansas City and not take a trip on my anniversary. Now, granted, so 17 years, right? 17 years. And, so you might hear me say 17 years and go, A1, what's the big deal? Like, you're 17 years in the game. Like your marriage is almost old enough to vote. And
and that marriage would vote that you stay at home.
And there you go. You know what I'm saying? Like these are big deals in our house, And so yeah, we kicked it like all weekend, had a good time, did a bunch of good things. So yeah, but I'm glad you got to experience that. Glad you got to be on the set. Someday I'll be able to be on the set.
Yeah. One day we'll go back out there, man, for real.
Yo, NFL Live though. I mean, no disrespect to Acho and everything that you have built on Speak. If y'all want to invite your boy out to Bristol so I can experience that campus, I wouldn't. I'm not going to turn it down. I'm not going to say no.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would definitely be fun.
But all right, man, let's get into it. Let's get into the show. We got a lot of things since we've been off. I want to play a little bit of catch up on. Won't spend too much time on, and we'll get to the current events. So let's kind of get the battle rap part out of the way.
Yeah.
Right, so let's start here, right? URL announces Gnome Impact. They have combined their double impact brand along with Gnome, which is one of their signature brands that they put on every year. All 2-on-2 matchups. They've announced, I believe, 3 matchups thus far. But before we get into those matchups, let's just talk about the idea. Because I think there's been some people who had some pushback about the idea of Gnome Impact, about combining those two. Now, for context, if you do not know, if somehow you are into battle rap and been under a rock, this is not the first time URL has done this. They have had Summer Impact, where they combined Double Impact and Summer Impact, right? About 3 or 4 years ago.
Yep.
And so now they're doing it with the Gnome brand. So when you saw that they announced that, your initial thought was what?
Stop getting cute. That was my initial thought. Right now they're going through a lot with them. The idea that caffeine is kind of backpedaling out of kind of like how much of a co-partner they are with URL. Less events we've seen, more app battles. We've seen, fans, voice their frustrations and things. So my initial thought was like, yo, in a time where this year is a very critical year as to like what you're gonna do in the future, like stick with your guns. Throw out Gnome, throw out Summer Madness, throw out Double Impact, finish the year strong, throw out a volume, remind the world why you are URL, because we tune into those events and those are some of the biggest events in the culture. And so just kind of throwing together this Gnome Impact card, I'm like, wow, I felt like they're just grasping for straws. Like that's just kind of how I felt. Like, hey, what can we do? Whether it be um, whether it be a budget thing or not, because 2-on-2 battles rarely ever hurt anybody's legacy. I'm assuming that the big name battlers charge less for the 2-on-2 battlers, 2-on-2 battles. So it just kind of, to me, from just a being in the know kind of battler thing, it just seemed like it's kind of like a budget move and like a move to just kind of get some content. So. You're on mute. Is my dog going super crazy though? Is my dog going super crazy?
A little bit, not crazy, but a little bit.
I can go up there and shut the door or something like that.
Now is that Charlie or
no? That's Sadie. Sadie's in the kennel going. Yeah, I don't know what she's tripping on, which is weird.
So, I mean, I can't put my finger on what I don't like about this. I want Gnome to be. It's not a main event. And with all due respect to URL, while I don't have any issues with any of the matchups they've announced, these are not night of main event matchups.
Exactly.
This is super fight. This is, I mean, to be honest, it reminds me of like COVID, right? When everything was shut down and URL, to their credit, right? I mean, they kept battle rap alive.
Yeah, of course.
During the COVID era. You know what I'm saying? And so it just seemed like when they had the 2-on-2s before, where you ended up with Av and Fonz versus Lou and Shine, right? We just kind of had like these teams just kind of like, it's like they reached into a bag and said, okay, Calico, Hollow, boom, right? And so it just has very much of a, just like a reach in a bag and put a team together, outside of Twerk and Nitty, right? And Av and Fonz, right? Who have been partners before. Well, I guess Twerk and Nitty's the first time, but those two guys have talked about being a team, right? They talked about that like the beginning of the year. And so it just feels very grab baggage. Like, yeah, here you go.
Now that the matchups are announced, like that was my first impression, but now that the matchups are announced, it makes me feel like they just thought that they could sell this whole card with Twerk, Nitty, Geechee, Rock, and then they just put the rest of it together. Like who's available? Who can do this? All right, who do you want to be? And I mean, we do want to see Twerk and Nitty and Geechee Rock. Don't get it twisted. That's a highly anticipated 2-on-2 match. I would love to see. But yeah, the rest of the card, like you said, is like main events. Like, no offense to like O-Red or Jerry West. A couple of these other guys. It's kind of like you're on here. It makes it seem like you're on here because somebody else wouldn't do it, and that's just, I mean, I'm a big old Red fan, but it's like an activity thing, a buzz thing. Like when you're like looking at the culture of battle rap and where it's at right now, it's like, really, and then like the Danny and Miss Hustle, they're both EFB, which kind of makes sense or whatever, but it's just kind of just like you said, none of the other teams have ever been teams before. And so it's kind of like, oh, what is this,
Now, I would have, now granted, I know this takes a lot, like this would require kind of like a production team, the side, like kind of what you talked about with Speak. I would love to see if they could somehow get the content of these teams and going through their process, right? Almost like reality TV style. To me, if you could do that, then I'm more interested, right? Because now I'm going to buy in more to it if I can see a little bit of behind the scenes of, hey, some of these people, I mean, most of these people do not live in the same place, right? So you're trying to, over the phone, maybe on Zoom, FaceTime, whatever you do, right, to try to work through these bars and get to a place of cohesion. And so I am interested because I am interested with some of the pairings of the groups, but like I forgot they even some of these matchups. I guess they announced today, but real quick, we'll go through them. You already talked about Geechee Gotti, Tay Rock versus Nitty and Twerk, and to me, it makes me sad that all that battle is a reminder to me that Surf is locked up because that should
Yeah,
be gun titles versus Nitty and
Nitty
Twerk.
and
So
yep.
while I am excited, it's a little bit of a damper for me because free to wave, man. Like I want Surf to be home. I want versus those two, like I want gun titles versus one of the most explosive battle rappers in Twerk, and then I mean the Punchline King, and
Yeah.
Nitty. So you got John the Don, DNA versus man, forgive me if I mess this up, Saflair, Soul, and Foots. I think once a time, I think I went Gucci Man LaFlair one time. I call him LaFlair. So but Saflair, Soul, and Foots, who I still have not had the opportunity to watch any of their battles, but I've heard nothing but good things from both of them. Saflair, who I think he got to battle Chess and Nitty already, correct? Right. Foots had a good battle. People talked about that Foots Jerry West battle as one of the battles of the year, a battle of the year contender.
Mm.
And so he's had some really good performances. So I am very interested. And honestly, to me, that's a battle where, from a wrestling standpoint, right? Like they're acting, DNA and John are acting as gatekeepers to help further solidify Foots and Soul, in my opinion.
Well, that battle actually kind of makes sense, believe it or
Mhm.
not. Like that battle because of the PG killer thing. You know what I mean? And so like that it's got that theme to it. John and DNA. And how John just eviscerated Jack Boy, and how DNA normally does when it comes to
PG
the
killer.
PGs. Yeah. So that I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that on night of main event sitting at the bottom, and then I'm not mad at Twerk, Nitty, Geechee, Rum at the top. It's just the other 3 or 4 that they're gonna have in between right now. Kind of to me, it's like, yeah,
So Hustle and Danny versus West, Jerry West and Lou Castro.
don't get it. I mean, Lou hasn't really been like on any kind of like streak or anything like that with URL right now. Jerry West just had a good battle. I'm hearing, um, but just don't get it. And then Danny and Hustle is EFB. I mean, I'm eager to kind of see how the intergender, Danny and Hustle work together. Um, but yeah, I just don't understand the matchup. It's not anything that I would call a main event or say like, yeah, I can't wait to see this. But those are the kind of battles sometimes that surprise you. So
True. So as an aside, I feel like Smack Volume, I think it's 3. I don't think it's 4. It might have been. It's either 3 or 4. A lot of people, the consensus from fans were why these matchups? Why? And I think in the eyes of a lot of people, I think it's 3 that ended up being like one of the best volumes of the series. So I
mm,
mean, again, right? Sometimes random does not need necessarily
yeah,
equal bad.
yeah.
So Avon Fonz, T Top, and Swamp.
To me, that should just be I mean, I think that should be lopsided. Avon Fawns are really, really good. That's a tag team. I mean, when I saw them, I'm like, okay, cool. Like I thought maybe they were battling Nitty and Twerk. It's a very, very good tag team, and I don't know stylistically. Now Geechee and Swamp were pretty decent, right? When they battled Rock and so was it Rock and
Rockin' Easy. I think it was Rockin' Easy.
yeah, so they were pretty decent. Um, yeah, that's an interesting matchup, but I mean, yeah, I think that most people are just kind of like, yo, this is Av and Fonz is the lose.
Yeah, shout out to Fat Boy from New Era Podcast. He said they were gonna punch the raccoons
Hilarious.
out of them. So we'll see. I think Av and I'm sorry, I think Swamp and T Top have the charisma to take the sting out of some of those punches, though.
Yeah.
I think they can use with some timely humor. I think some good drug tellings. I think they'll be able to take, like I said, to navigate what Av and Font that seems like an uphill battle. Though I do agree, and I
But
think
I mean,
that's
I'll say this much. I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, it should be on a big stage, right? Big crowd, shouldn't it be? So,
yeah.
when we saw Avon Fawns, that was a small room setting.
Yeah, but I'm just
They got crazy, but yeah, I mean, T Top and Swamp might be a little bit better on the big stage. I don't know. I think
listen.
I think it's pretty lopsided though.
Av has not had a lot. He has not been very active, right? I mean, he has, to me, one of the performances of the year versus Clone. Three really, really good rounds, and
Indeed.
if he brings some of them punches to a big stage,
Yeah. Yeah.
whew,
It could get dark.
yeah, it can get nasty. I think those are all the matches, right? We talked about all the rest of them. So yeah, man, y'all let us know what y'all think about that, about Av
Hollow
and
cow, shotgun, sugar, O red. But yeah,
yeah. I mean, so I'm interested in Hollow and Cal
chemistry wise, I want to see
chemistry
how they.
wise, stylistically. Like, I don't. I mean, Kyle and Murder Mook. It was. It wasn't that. That wasn't a great group. I just feel like I don't know if Kyle is a 2-on-2 battler.
Yeah.
I think Kyle might be better suited for just big stage one-on-one matchups. That's just we'll see, right? I think he have an
Yeah.
opportunity to prove me wrong, but I just don't know if if that's his bag per se.
Yeah.
So
I agree. So
um
yeah.
y'all let us know
Um.
what y'all think about that, man. You got anything else you want to say about this before we move on?
Yeah, outside of that, 3-0 Battle League, Street Hymns Battle League, Dallas Fort Worth this weekend, Church in a Wild event. So you'll find the Four Horsemen and my guy, Matt Cobbins. Well, it'll be 5 battles. So all four of us and Matt Cobbins will be taking on Dallas's local elite talent in a card for Street Hymns' birthday. It's his birthday weekend. So, yeah,
Happy
we'll be
birthday,
down
Street.
there. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, everything. I'll be posting flyers, QR codes, and pay-per-view video on demand links, all that good stuff. Support it. I definitely want to have a good time. And all of them are 3-round battles, so that's good too. So none of them are rounders. And yeah, it should be fun.
Dope. Yep. So make sure you guys support that. All right, man. So let's kind of play a little bit of catch up now. We've been off for about a month, maybe a month and a half. I can't remember the last. Like I know the last episode we had. I don't know if that was with Danny Thompson or the week after. I think it
Yeah,
was like the week before the draft.
yeah, it was like a week
Um,
before the draft. Yeah.
week before the draft. So it's been about a month. So
Hmm.
I want to play a little bit of catch up. Let's go back to the NFL draft. The NFL draft was held in Kansas City. From the depending on who you talk to, a rousing success. From some economically mixed bag, but you got a chance to go down on day one, right? And you spent a couple hours down there before the actual draft kicked off. So, from your perspective, what was it like being in that area for the draft?
No, it was really cool. I never went to any of the parades, like the Chiefs parade or the Royals parade. So that's the first time that I've been down like to Union Station, Crown Center area where just people were just you know gathered in thousands.
Mhm.
But once you get down there and you get past the World War I museum, there's so much stuff for you to do. We didn't do a whole lot. We were in a bigger group or whatever, because it would have been like standing in lines and different things. But they had, you go run 40 times. They had competitions where you and your friend can get in line, run the 40. They timed you and everything. They had like you can go in and make your own football card. They had autograph sessions. Like Chad Henne was up there signing autographs, and then some other like former Chiefs were up there signing autographs, and there was just so much the entire time. So it's a really kind of a cool thing. Like if you wanted to take kids down there and stuff. They had all kinds of tents, all kind of food, all kind of drinks, music, and it was really just it was really just a huge gathering outside, and then like the stage and everything down there at Union Station was just super impressive. Once you got close, it was just like man, they really built like an incredible stage. The traffic wasn't nearly as bad as what I thought it would be. We took Ubers down there and Ubers back, but still, even in that, like we Ubered back probably hour before the draft started. And so like when you would think that a lot of people were coming down at that time, but it wasn't too bad. And then I thought as I watched the first round of the draft, like that it went well. I thought it went well. I thought it was a great showing for like, obviously I travel a lot, so I'm out of town like 5-6 times since then, and like people were just like, "Oh yeah, I saw Kansas City during the draft. Man, that looked cool. Like the fountains, that everything was just a good showing for our city, on the national scale." Um, I didn't hear of anything going crazy wrong. I know you remember like when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl the first time, it was just like people falling out of trees, people like cars going down the wrong side of the road, just ridiculousness. But I didn't hear too many stories like of anything bad happening, anything that was a negative experience for any people. So no, I really really had a good time. So
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, I mean, I won't go back too far to really get into some of the things that went on, but like, to me, I think I had a back and forth with Reach, who I believe, I don't know if it's Arrowhead Pride or Arrowhead Report. I know he's done some writings for one of the sites here locally, and during that time, Bijan Robinson was there was the tweet in question talked about how some teams have Bijan Robinson as a top 5 talent on their boards, and the tweet was like, well, if you pass on Bijan Robinson, not saying if you have a top 5 pick, right, but if you have him rated that high, your turn to pick comes around, you're around, pick 10, 12, 13, 14, whatever, and you pass on him simply because people are going to speak negatively of your pick, then it's a foolish decision. Right? Do not draft Bijan because you're afraid of what people will say. Right? If he's a top 5 talent on your board, take him if
yeah,
that's what you feel your need is at that point. And so his response was, "Well, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl with like the next to last pick in the draft," and I'm like, okay, while factually true, right? You also have a generational quarterback. And so I'm like, your quarterback's Patrick Mahomes, bro. Like you
right,
don't
right,
get
right.
to like this is not the flex you think it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And so he's like, so you're telling me if you have a top 5 pick, you're taking Bijan, and I'm going, if I don't have a generational franchise quarterback at my disposal,
yeah,
I'm taking all the top end talent, no matter where they fall on the board. If that means he's number 3, and that's again, we're talking about need. If that's what I need in that moment,
yeah,
and he's there, yes, I'm going to take the best players because not everybody has a Patrick Mahomes. To me, there are 3 foundational quarterbacks in the NFL. It is Mahomes, it's Allen, and Burrow. Right? From there, you can get into your levels of good to great to bum. Right? But from those 3 guys, you can have Isaiah Pacheco if you have Patrick Mahomes. You can. There's been a lot of talk in Kansas City about what are we gonna do at wide receiver? Are we rolling with the guys we got? I don't have that much of a concern. Why? Because you have 15. If you got Daniel Jones, yeah, you probably need to go out and get some
yeah,
more wide receiver talent or running back talent, whatever. So, I mean, I want people to, one, not be cowards. Number one, if that's what you need, go get it. Now, I will say this about the running backs and where they were selected. I hate Bijan in Atlanta because I don't think Arthur Smith's a good coach.
yeah.
I feel like we've seen him waste Kyle Pitts last year. I feel
Oh
like
yeah,
at times Drake London, people were going, "What's up with Drake London snap count? Why isn't he playing more?" I don't think giving him I think Bijan has the ability. I forget, someone said he might be LaDainian Tomlinson. Like that's the potential comp, right?
yeah.
If you're telling me you're giving him that guy, I don't trust Arthur Smith to design an offense explosive enough to make sure all those guys get fed and have a good offense, especially with no disrespect, Desmond Ritter.
Right, correct. Yeah,
So I mean, I think that's one of my big takeaways from the draft is go get your running backs, man. Don't be
yeah.
afraid to go draft them.
That's how we
Forget
play
what.
fantasy, right? Get your guy in
Shout out
fantasy
to
football.
our guy Cotton. Go get your guy,
Go get your
right?
guy.
Now with the Lions, like they're not helping out my argument, right? Like I don't think the Lions needed a running back at 12. I like Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't know if Jahmyr Gibbs is a foundational guy, and you set these guys up for failure when they're not LaDainian Tomlinson or they're not
Right.
even Jamal Charles, right? Who's a Chiefs Hall of Famer, but not maybe an NFL Hall of Famer. You set them up for failure when you take them. I mean, even Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was a 32nd pick of the draft. and he gets a ton of hate just because he was taken by the Chiefs. With
in the
what
first
is
round. Yeah.
right, and most people equate the end of the first round with the second. They
Yeah.
talk about if you make a trade, they go, "Oh, it's essentially a second round pick." But until you draft a running back, then it becomes a waste of a first. Anyway, so
Yep.
that's my little soapbox rant on running backs. Go get your guy. Don't be cowards. Make sure you're getting a guy who's going to fit your system. No, don't Arthur Smith. I'm talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't waste Bijan. Do not wait. I will find you in Atlanta. I will find you on Peachtree Street because there's a ton of peach trees. I'm gonna find you on Peachtree. We're gonna have a good talk. All right. So let's fast forward a little bit. Let me make sure I'm getting my notes. So let's jump up. Let's jump to the NBA draft lottery, and then we'll get into the playoffs. All right. So NBA draft lottery goes down last week. Victor Wembanyama is going to San Antonio. I hit my uncle up like 5 minutes after the draft lottery. He lives in San Antonio. And I said, not the uncle in Austin, different uncle.
No. Yeah.
But I said, yo, I'm coming to San Antonio this fall because I want to see Big Vic in person, man. So your thoughts on Wemby going to San Antonio, what that might mean for his future and the Spurs' future?
I think it might mean that Pop coaches a little longer. That's one thing. I really think that the pressure is on this kid to fail, man, and that sucks. Like, I mean, I know he is a unicorn, he is whatever, but man, like when LeBron came out in 2003, technology wasn't what it is today. Right. And LeBron was like, you saw commercials, you saw them playing his high school games, and you saw there's Magic, there's Michael, there's, Bird, there's LeBron. I don't know if you've seen the clip where it's like these guys all go by one name or whatever, and his high school games getting ready to start. Like, the pressure was on him heavily in an era where there wasn't really Twitter and, podcasts and Instagram and all of this, whatever. Man, all the eyes are on this kid, and yes, he is. I mean, even Curry, LeBron, all these guys talk about him like, he's the real deal, it's bro, you know how it is. Like one rolled ankle, one this, one that, so it's I'm definitely glad that he went to the Spurs. Only other team I think I wanted him to go to was the Blazers, just to see if it changed Dame Lillard's mind. But I'm excited. I'm excited for the Spurs. I like it when the Spurs are good. I think they have they were pretty bad this year, but there was some games where you were like, yo, the Spurs are beating the Celtics right now. Like, the Spurs are like beating, like good teams. Like, there was a couple of times where I would like look up and be like, yo, they got a pretty nice little like young squad. Not like Oklahoma City Thunder nice, but like a pretty nice little young squad. So I think it'll be interesting to watch. But yeah, man, I hope that pressure. I'm really excited for like the top 6 players in this draft. Like, I can't wait to see kind of just how the Twins and Scoot and Wembanyama and Brandon Miller and a couple other guys, how they really work out this time. And then I'm cracking up because we're sitting here watching the Miami Heat, who lost their play-in game, won 2 games to enter the playoffs as an 8 seed getting ready to go to the NBA Finals. And the Dallas Mavericks decided to sit their starters, and they got the 10th pick in the NBA lottery draft. And with the West being what the West is, who knows? Luka could have probably maybe got a series or something out of that. So the Mavericks, shout out to the Mavericks for sitting starters and ended up picking 10th.
So I think the reason they did that is, I guess in their eyes, they felt like they weren't going to win any games in the play-in, and I think their pick. Is this the Porzingis trade? I think their pick, if they made the playoffs, would have then went to New York.
Oh, so it would have been gone regardless.
It would have been gone. So they tanked in order to save the pick. So yeah, that is why they say it's not that they had a shot at getting.
It's a big draft, though. It's a good draft, right? I mean, does it go past the front 7, or does it get pretty weak?
So you know how people talk about these things. Right now, it's a 3-man draft, right? It's
really,
people think it's Wembanyama, it's Wembanyama, it's Brandon Miller, and it's Scoot. Then after that, like, you got like the Thompson twins, you got I forget the young man's name from Villanova. Like, there's like 4 or 5 guys. You go, okay, those are nice pieces, but no one is projected to be like potential franchise changers like those 3.
Yeah.
And so I am interested to see, what Portland does. If Portland will decide to move on from Dame and trade him and get some more assets and picks and just rebuild and start the whole thing over again. Speaking of that, I want to play this clip and get your reaction to it. So Philadelphia loses in the second round again to the Boston Celtics. I want Philly's got to be kicking themselves. Anyway, they in two different playoffs, right? They had the number one overall seed. They lose to the Hawks in the second round in a series where they were up, I believe, 3-1. They're up 3-2 here, and Joel Embiid is a great player, but I'm starting to wonder from a playoffs perspective if Joel Embiid is better suited as a 1B or number 2 to someone who can truly be like, you want to talk about franchise altering decisions. Philadelphia, the year they traded up to number 1, Tatum or Fultz? They take Tatum or they take Fultz. Now, word on the street was Boston was always going to take Tatum. Even if they didn't move, they were going to take him number 1. So maybe Boston doesn't make the trade once they tell them, oh, we're taking Tatum. Right. So, but again, they take Fultz over Tatum. Franchise altering decision number 2. They choose Tobias Harris to resign over Jimmy Butler. Look at what has happened since that time. They're now in their third conference final, and you still haven't been past the second round. And Embiid loved Jimmy Butler. He was a Jimmy Butler fan. Maybe if he's there, maybe Ben Simmons doesn't. Right? So franchise altering. So I want to play this clip. This is from the Dan Patrick Show. You'll see it appear on the screen for just a second. I'm going to take it down because I don't want a copyright strike. But hopefully they won't hit us on the audio. So this is a report from the Dan Patrick Show. I think this is Friday's podcast. So let me get this queued up. Matter of fact, let me know.
Or James Harden.
Can you hear that?
And then we thought, okay, well, Doc's gone, so James Harden must be coming back. Keith Pompey is reporting Sixers James Harden expected to reunite with the Rockets in free agency, sources say. So expected to in free agency. Keith Pompey of the Philadelphia Inquirer. Now, it doesn't stop there because there's this little piece of news-ish. This is Stephan Bondy of the New York Daily News. Joel Embiid is a name to watch for the New York Knicks.
So let's start at the beginning of this report, right? Stephan Bondy, I think, Philadelphia Inquirer. James Harden, who wants it's reported wants a 4-year deal, wants to go back to Houston. Your response to that is what?
You can take the man from the club, but you can't take the club from the man. That's my response. You're like, these Philadelphia Johns ain't doing it right now. I gotta get back to the South. Oh man, I actually am not. I mean, the Rockets got a great young core, great young core. You're not a fan of the Jalen Green,
I think sometimes
Kenyon Martin Jr., the
Jabari Smith Jr. I mean, listen, I think I read an article. It's a long form article. And I have to see if I can find it. But it talked about Paul Silas Jr., who was the coach there. He ends up getting fired at the end of the season. And it talked about the culture of losing. And I think especially when you're so young, when there's not, oh man, I forget the name of the young man who they drafted a couple of years ago. Hold on. We thought the young man they drafted a couple of years ago could be a franchise-changing player. He might just be a really good scorer. Golly, not Kevin Porter Jr. Jalen Green.
Oh, okay.
Raymond Green, we thought could be like, someone who could be a franchise changing player. It still could happen, right? He's super young, but it doesn't appear to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a team that has become accustomed to losing, you build up losing habits. There's been reports of the players not exactly following coaches' orders, freelancing, doing their own thing. And now you're going to add James Harden into that mix. And to
I
me,
think they're bringing in one of the best coaches in the NBA, though.
maybe we have to see how his one will he be a distraction, right? Because I almost feel like he went there because it's like, oh, I can get away, I can kind of hide from all the things that the trail of destruction I left in Boston allegedly, and not have to talk about it. But I think, to me, this is James Harden saying, I can go to a place where there'll be no expectation of a championship. I can shoot all I want, and I can hit the clubs. Take my jersey out the rafters, baby. I'm back. Like all he had to do was send the Michael Jordan, except he probably sent it in the Instagram DM. 2 words. I'm back. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all he had to do. So
vanish mode.
Man, like, I just feel like he's going to a place where he can collect a check. He doesn't have to worry about winning. He can get his shots up.
Would you say that he's on? I mean, he's on the backside of his career, right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
And so I don't know. I mean, I know he wants $200 million, but would you say that's too much? That's too much to pay him? I would say that too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's going to a team that probably just wants to have something to talk about. With their new coach and their new player. I'm sure Grant Williams will end up there too, since he's not going to stay in Boston. So you can get Grant down there.
Nah, we not going to do. Man, nah.
My dog, man. My dog, man.
Williams. Now, granted, Grant has been a part of 2 kind of infamous moments in NBA. In this year's NBA season, there was the first one with, I'm going to make both free throws, and he misses them both. And now he gets caught in this exchange with Jimmy Butler, which, I wonder if there's something going on in that locker room. I just wonder, like, it's just like the blame is being laid at the feet of Missoula, but I feel like this is a team that is a veteran team that's been there before. This isn't their first rodeo now. This is like their 4th or 5th conference finals. They were in the NBA finals last year. You're playing, look, I get it. Heat culture, Jimmy Butler looking like, 21st century Michael Jordan, just willing his team on to each round. But you still have someone that I was willing to call a superstar as a month ago.
Yeah.
In Tatum, a really good 2 in Brown. And again, a bunch of valuable role players who've been there before.
Listen,
right now, you're just
letting
Miami
a great number 2 in Jaylen Brown, 2nd team All NBA. You have the 6th man of the year in Malcolm Brogdon, and you have 1 year removed the defensive player of the year, Marcus Smart.
Bro, like, no, this you can't be letting them punk you.
Nope.
And you quit. Like, call it spade a spade. Y'all quit, man. Y'all quit. Like, y'all laid down.
You literally didn't play the 4th quarter. Like, we're not talking about you didn't jump for a loose ball. We're talking about you literally didn't play.
I mean, Bam Adebayo putting y'all on posters 2 times in a game. You got
Kevin Love out here looking like outlet pass.
I mean, like, they got to get themselves together, man. They've got to get themselves together. This series is over. They're not going to win 4 straight. Not unless Jimmy gets hurt.
Now, if somebody's going to win 4 straight, it's going to be they're the 1, right? No, they're the 2. It's going to be a 2. It's going to be a 2 against that play in 8.
I mean, I think we're past that point, though.
I don't know that we'll ever see it, but now that we have the play in 8s that are like technically like the 10, what are they? 10? Yeah, like the best team in the conference.
They were the 8 seed. They were the 8 in turn when the season ended. They were the 8. So right.
Oh,
so
they had just lost the first. They just lost to the 7.
They lost to the Hawks. They lost to the Hawks. The Hawks ended up being. They might even been the 7 actually, and just happened to lose to the Hawks, who were the 8.
Yeah.
So
I mean, at some point, if a team starts becoming who they were, like, but I don't see it happening either. But I'm just saying, like, It can happen. But so to move on to the Embiid to the Knicks, like obviously that's the first time I've ever heard that. And that's just kind of wild. I don't see how the Sixers could ever let that happen after his MVP year. Unless the Sixers are just kind of like, all right, we had a good run with trusting this process. Let's blow it all up and figure out what we're doing.
If you lose Harden, what other options do you have? Because I don't know who you're going.
You could go get Dame or Trae Young, right? You can go get Dame or Trae Young. Try to get one of them.
I would not want Trae Young. All due respect to Trae Young. Shout out to Rashad Phillips, who has been on the show, who is close with Trae. I don't think Trae is the answer. One, I think he's too small. Two, he has a reputation for being a great shooter. He is an okay shooter. He averages for his career 35% from three. I think he was 33% this year from three. He's not a great shooter. Now he's got a flair for the dramatic, right? I'll give him that, right? He's hit some big shots in the playoffs. I just don't think I want him. If you can get Dame, but then what do you have to give up to get him? You probably got to come up off of Maxey. You probably got to come up off of Tobias, right? You got to come up off of depth that I don't think makes you better in the long run. So again, if Harden leaves, I feel like you have to.
I think they would be an attractive team for free agents if they were able to get Lillard and Embiid. Even though you're sacrificing depth, I'm thinking the free agency market, guys would come to Philly to play with those two.
Potentially. I can see that. I think there's been a lot made of Embiid's comments after these season, where I can't win it by myself, complaining about not getting the ball enough in the game 6 loss where they come. So last thing I want to say about this before we get to LA. We've had these arguments for years about momentum and whether it's real. I say it's not momentum. It's the ability to focus and do your job no matter what. And multiple times in these playoffs, you have watched teams wilt under the pressure. It has not been, they hit a back-breaking three, and that is the moment where the momentum shifted. That game 6 against Boston, where Tatum is having one of the worst performances of his career in the playoffs, and that game was tied. It was 84-83 for the longest time. And right around that time, I got on Twitter and I said, Jason Tatum is going to hit, after all the terribleness he's had, he's going to hit the shot that ultimately wins the game. And he hit that first 3 that gave them the lead for good. Then he came down, hit a second 3. And then about a couple of possessions later, he hits a ball game. And so you literally watched Philly wilt. They didn't get the ball to Joel Embiid down the stretch. I think the last 4 minutes he didn't get a touch. Bad shots, turnovers, 24-second shot. They wilted under the pressure. And so that's why I say maybe in New York, Jalen Brunson's a dog. Jalen Brunson not afraid of the moment. Jalen Brunson can potentially maybe help Joel Embiid keep his head in those situations, and maybe he can take the next step.
But what do they got to get rid of? Obviously Julius Randle and some.
Let me tell you something. I think they might be happy to part.
To get rid of it.
Hey, Julius, we thank you for your contribution, sir.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Yeah, I think they're keeping RJ Barrett, though. I think they're going to keep RJ Barrett.
Yeah, they're going to fight to keep RJ Barrett. I think definitely Mitchell Robinson's gone. RJ Barrett's gone. I think Obi Toppin might be a part of that package. And then picks. And I don't know what else, right? What else comes along with that, but then there's going to be picks. But I think, Quentin Grimes might be somebody that they target because I think he was developing into a nice rotational piece.
I think they keep Josh Hart. I think they might keep Josh Hart.
I think Hart might be a free.
Was he just a 1-year deal? He might have just been he got traded.
Shoot, I went Josh contract. I need to put Hart because then I get Allen. Let's see. He has a player option for $12 million. So we'll see what he decides to do. But I think that's interesting. I think that is very interesting on what they decide to do and if they decide to keep Joel Embiid if James Harden walks, because it's for all of the slander that we have for Harden, he was a key contributor and he showed he still can.
He had 2 40-point games and basically 2 game winners.
2 40-point games, yeah, absolutely. So he showed you he can be a key contributor on a contender. I
Yeah.
don't know if he showed he could be a contributor to a championship winning team. To me,
Right.
concern. So, y'all, let us know what y'all think, man. Joel Embiid in Philly. How would y'all? I mean, in New York potentially. James Harden going back to Houston. Let us know what y'all think.
Wow.
All right. So let's jump into this. We can if we want to go back and talk about Miami and Boston, we can. I feel like we kind of talked about that, but let's talk about Denver, LA. Denver sweeps the LA Lakers. First of all, to America, I would like to say welcome to the Nikola Jokic experience. I feel like
yes,
this was everyone's introduction to him, though he's a 2-time MVP.
Yeah.
I feel like this is just because he played the Lakers. This is the first time that America truly watched him. I was in the Discord group after game one, and people are like, "Oh, the Lakers figured it out. They're good. They're good."
No, I had that too. I was like, yeah, no.
They're gonna put Rui on them. AD's gonna roam the paint, and I'm like, hey guys, you do realize that they have coaches too, right? Like they're going to game plan around what the Lakers did, which I thought tactically was a mistake. One of the few mistakes in this run that Darvin Ham made. I felt like he should have held that particular tactical idea to the second game, because it definitely gave Denver trouble, right? And I think it would have taken them a half, maybe even a quarter to figure it out. And to me, that's the difference between them at least taking a game off of Denver, because obviously they were the better team.
Yeah.
Every time LA made a run, every time you thought LA could potentially win the game, Denver they wouldn't fold when they had multiple opportunities to. And to me, that's a testament to their coaching. It's a testament to obviously Joker, and to the role players, and to Jamal Murray, who
we owe an apology to.
I don't owe Jamal Murray an apology. Maybe you do. Maybe the rest of America.
All we want to talk about is Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, and some of these other guys, and Jamal Murray is him.
Listen, when he was in the bubble, if you go hashtag top 10 bucket getter, you're going to see several tweets with either the Brains and Bars logo or with my personal Twitter profile attached to it. I'm probably the only one who was saying Jamal Murray, top 10 bucket getter in the league. And when he goes Super Saiyan blue, he turns into top 5 bucket getter. It does not put Wilt out there on him.
The man's getting.
I'm going to get blasphemous for a second. Go get Prime Jordan and put him out there. He getting a bucket at least out of 5 tries. He getting at least 2, maybe 3. It does not matter what you throw at him, what you do to him. He is getting a bucket.
He is. Yes.
And I mean, like I said, like I think the injuries, obviously, he missed the better part of 2 seasons with the ACL injury, and I think people just forgot. Yeah. And he reminded everybody about what time it is and who he really is. And then shout out to the other role players. You got Bruce Brown providing good minutes.
KCP playing like he never played in the Lakers.
KCP had, timely buckets, timely scoring.
Aaron Gordon with a crazy stat line for that last game.
Michael Porter Jr. getting buckets when they needed it. Like, they have been the best team outside of, I think they even better than Miami. To me, it's been Denver 1, Miami 2, and the Lakers 3.
Interesting you say that, because Miami has played an aggregate of 6, 1, 5, 1, 4, and 2, so 7.
Who they play in the second round again?
The Knicks. Were they the 4 or the 5?
They were the 5. They were the 5, I think. They were the 5.
So 1, 5, and 2. So that's 8. And the Nuggets have played an aggregate of about 20.
Yeah, but the Lakers were one of the best teams in the West after the trade deadline, right? Like, the trades they made, because y'all remember they were 13th, and they went from 13th all the way to what? They were the 8 by the time the season ended.
Did they play in the play? No, they didn't play play-in, did they? Yeah,
yes,
they did.
They did. They played. They had Minnesota, right? Minnesota was a 7. The Lakers were the 8. So they were 13th, and they got all the way to 8th. And had they had that team to start the season, I think the Lakers for sure are top 4 seed. Right. So I think that team was.
But the other thing is the Heat have only lost 3 games against the aggregate of 8. I'm pretty sure the T-Wolves got 2. The Suns got 2.
The Lakers got.
So I guess, So I guess it's 3 to 4.
But I'm just, this team just.
I think the Nuggets are going to win it all. Like, I think they are the better team. But I'm just saying, like, based off the the Nuggets have played against generational talent, players-wise. Like they beat KD, they beat CP3 for 2 games, they beat AD and LeBron. So those are obviously some great names. I think that the Heat have beat the better team, because I think going into the playoffs we would have said that the East has the 2 front runners, the Bucks and the Celtics,
and they're about to beat them both.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Heat's resume, right? If we want to have a Cody discussion, the Heat's resume is better, right? They've beaten what we would consider to be the better teams. But I do think, man, the Heat have had more moments.
Definitely more impact. Hey, strength of schedule, moments, impact.
Yeah. I mean, if we had to have it from that, never mind. I'm not going to have any. Shout out to Jay Black, man. I rock with the champion process, but it just kind of shows you, like, wow, you can really kind of make these things say what you want. But that does not deny the fact that Denver has been, to me, like I said, they've been the most complete team. They've been the most complete team.
Not mad at that. Yeah.
And I too think they're going to win the championship and get some respect put on their name. And I've seen this idea from fans that, well, the finals are going to be boring because it's going to be the Heat and the Nuggets. And I'm like, guys, have you watched Jokic? Did you see him step back, falling away, 1-foot jumper, 3-pointer in the clutch, right? We're not talking about
7-foot, top 75 player of all time, Anthony Davis.
Like, do you see the passes, guys? Do you see
what
he's?
Have you seen Jimmy Buckets? Literally, probably a top 10 playoff player of all time.
Dog, like, I have not seen, like, this is one of the closest things I've seen to a Michael Jordan-like performance from an individual player. And he's 6'7", right? Jordan 6'6". Not to discount Giannis, what Giannis did during their run to the championship, right? But what Jimmy is doing, it reminds me of Jordan. It is simply, I'm not losing.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if you saw what he said about your guy, Grant Williams, getting in his face. And he's like, look, it's competition. I enjoy competition. I like when guys get in my face. I like when they talk to me. And he goes, but I'm probably not the guy you want to do that to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, and he said it with like if he dies, it was just like, know what I'm saying? Like, it was just so cool, calm, and collected. And yes, if we end up with those 2 teams, which we should, and if somehow Boston is able to right the ship mentally and win 4 straight games, you've now got, from a narrative perspective, one, you got a glamour franchise in a major city with something that's never been done before versus what has been probably the best team in the NBA all season.
Yeah.
Or you
get 2-time MVP.
2-time MVP, and you get the man who has been putting on an all-time performance. Like, imagine if you had that kind of storyline in college basketball. How crazy we would be going if you had Jokic putting on those types of performances and a singular star putting on that type. We would be losing our minds. So
yeah, definitely.
It's definitely something. It's going to be an entertaining finals no matter what we get. And we're going to, if you're a true basketball fan, you will love it. If you're a casual, you should watch, because you're going to see, again, 2 players who are performing at the top of their craft. So real quick about LA, there's already been talk about them pursuing Trae Young, Kyrie Irving. And so I want to ask you, do you think, I'll save my opinion. Do you think the Lakers, they have a lot of free agents. Do you think they should run it back with this group, or they should start over?
I think LeBron is not retiring. So let's just start there. So I know he had made comments last night that gave the impression that he had a lot to think about. I don't think he's retiring. I think he wants to play with Bronny, and I think he's going to be in the league at least a year, or at least two more years. I don't know if they can afford to keep Austin Reeves after how much money he made himself in the playoffs. Like I think he's easily probably going to get a $60 to $80 million contract somewhere else. Rui is still there. I don't think he's a free agent. I think Rui is there for at least another year. D'Lo's probably got to go. D'Lo's probably got to go. And Vanderbilt, I mean, the dude's just such a liability on offense. I think they got to blow it up somehow. I think they can keep a core of 4 or 5 guys, but I think they got to blow it up somehow. Yeah.
I think I think he lost confidence.
Major confidence.
He's obviously in certain situations going to be a liability on defense. I don't feel like he was as great of a liability in this round as he was in the previous 2 rounds.
But offensively, he won them games. Well, at least one game in the previous 2 rounds.
I think he provides an extra ball handler, someone you can put in pick and roll situations. I think that's part of it too. I think part of playing in an offense with AD and LeBron for a guy like D'Lo, who when he rebuilt his career in Brooklyn, right, was he got a chance to be primary ball handler.
Yeah.
I think we saw LeBron show his age in ways that we have not seen previously. The foot injury definitely helped show his age. By the way, Mike Breen and are the guys on the ESPN broadcast. LeBron James played the entire first half, put up 30, and in the second half, they are constantly chirping him, talking about you need to guard Jokic. You need to attack. And it's like, bro, like this ain't 2K with the fatigues off.
Right.
The hollow. Like he's not coming out. He's got to catch a break somewhere. Somebody has got to carry them. And I even tweeted that at halftime of LeBron has been incredible. Yeah, he's been incredible. But the Denver game where Jamal Murray went crazy for 30, you had Jokic in the fourth quarter who had an off game, foul trouble. He stepped up and took them home. He
took 15 in the fourth.
He needed somebody else to take him home. So I think D'Lo can be another ball handler. I started to call Rui Hachimura. I think it's Maikahora. Let me make sure I got that right. That's Japanese for microwave, because to me he was instant offense.
Yeah.
When he came in off the bench,
confident in his jump shot, gets to his spots, shoots it at a high percentage. Yeah.
Oh, wait. It's Denjirinji. My fault. Anyway, I thought that he was someone who was instant offense. He was a capable defender, a good defender. They got to make sure they bring him back next year. And to me, he can play a bigger role and allow LeBron to rest even more, because he's not the athlete LeBron is.
He's a body, though.
He has a typical body structure. So I think that's somebody that they should bring back. Austin Reeves, you got to. You have if LeBron James is going to be back there next year,
you got to pay him, right? Though, I mean, you got to pay him.
You got to pay him, and I do think part of this we'll see is potentially pressure on the front office to make sure that guys like Austin Reeves come back. Guys like
guys like Rui and Austin, like they blossomed because they knew that LeBron needed them to step up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I think they had the confidence. You bring in a guy like Kyrie, you bring in a guy like Trae Young. I don't know if that helps those guys at all. At all.
You're taking the ball out their hands.
Yeah.
No. So no, I think they need to bring back the core of this team. I think Dennis Schroeder. I think they should try to bring them all, if possible. They should try to bring back this cast and run it back. You made it to the conference finals.
Even Tristan Thompson.
Why did he get? I just want to know why he got the halftime interview.
I don't know, and I don't know why he got in the game. I looked up, I said, "Wait, why is he in the game right now?"
Because they needed someone to go head up against Jokic and provide AD and Bron a rest from trying to guard him. That was the only like Tristan Thompson getting the halftime interview It's like you finishing a battle and then Uncle Rob pulling me to the side and saying, "Yo, A1, what do you think about this war battle?" Like, like what's happening right now, man?
What are we
Like,
doing?
they couldn't find nobody. Austin wasn't available. AD wasn't available.
Right.
So,
Well,
yeah,
LeBron did. He walked straight to the locker room, so they were in panic mode.
listen, that boy had to go get into the hyperbolic time chamber and get a Senzu bean and get refreshed because he was done at halftime, yo. Man, but yeah, so I think they should bring him back, man. Y'all let us know what y'all think the Lakers should do. Should they blow it up, blow the roster up again? No. I think that was a mistake they made after they lost to Phoenix in the playoffs 3 years ago. But let us know what you think. Final thing as we go out the door. Boxing, not a huge boxing show, but this is a fight that people have been waiting on forever. Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence have agreed to fight on July 29th.
Wow. I did not know that.
Well, it broke during the show.
Oh, okay. That's great.
This was as of 7. Well, it broke before we started the show. We found out about it while we were recording. But this fight has been talked about for years.
Years. Yes.
Lots of talk of it. Deal's gonna be made, and it not happening, and we are finally here. Now, I don't know if you know enough about the two to really speak intelligently.
I mean, they're both very, very good, and I know that there's been like there's always been a disconnect in getting it done. Terrence Crawford's out of Nebraska, right?
Yep.
Pound for pound, probably one of the best fighters in the world, if not the best fighter in the world.
I'm gonna go Tank Davis on that. I'm gonna go Tank Davis, but I mean that's a good counterpoint, though. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, and then Earl Spence, his name speaks for itself. I think that it's been kind of a thing where Crawford has felt like he's deserved the fight, right? It's been more, and Earl's been kind of like the one that's Mayweathered it.
Yeah, and I mean Errol's had some unfortunate, and he got into the car wreck. And so he's had some things kind of up in his career, but I feel like their careers have kind of stalled because they have not. This is the fight one everyone has wanted to see.
Yeah,
it's going to be worth the most money to them both. I mean, Crawford is now 35,
so they are kind of a little outside of their prime, huh?
They're outside of their prime. Yeah. So we will see what happens, man. But we'll ask you guys right now. Hit us up in the comments who y'all got, Spence or Crawford. Like, this has been a good year for boxing. I didn't get a chance to watch Lomachenko and Haney, but I've heard that was a really good fight, good back and forth. I know a lot of people thought that Lomachenko won, and maybe there's an opportunity for a rematch, or maybe Devin Haney moves on to take on. Gosh, I can see his face, but his name's not coming to me. Oh. Shakur. I can't think of his first name. But dang, sorry, this is gonna bug me. Shakur Stevenson. That is his first name. Shakur Stevenson. So maybe that's the next, could be a blockbuster fight. We already, I think there was one other big fight that I paid. Oh, Davis and Garcia was a big fight this year. It's been a good year for boxing. So let us know who y'all got. Y'all got Crawford or Spence. So that's our time, man. We're gonna get out of here, go catch the rest of this game.
Indeed.
Can stave off elimination.
No, looking good.
What's the score?
29-20. Miami's up. First quarter? Yeah,
okay.
It's
early. But thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, it's been a black
and white
thing, man. Y'all be easy. Hit us up. We're back. We're gonna try to get back into the weekly schedule. This weekend, what's the name of Streets League again? One more time.
3-0 Battle League.
3-0 Battle League. Dallas, Texas going down. The Horsemen, all 4 Horsemen will be in the building, battling some of the best local talent Dallas has to offer. Pay-per-view will be available. Go check it out. Go and support. I am A-Ward.
Shop.com.
Shop.com for all A-Ward merch. Search for It's a Black and White Thing on the podcast app of your choice. For all social media and YouTube, search Brains and Bars. Rate, comment, subscribe. Follow us on all of our social media channels. Until next time, man, we'll holler at y'all. Y'all be easy. Have a good evening.
Deuces.